Hello again, everyone. I'm Joe Longinusa, welcoming you to another edition of Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where industry leaders, golf professionals, and legends all come and discuss the great game we love so much. So without further ado, let's turn it over to our host to tell us who's next on the tee. Chris, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Joe Longinusa. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me again this morning on Next on the Tee. I am your host, Chris Mascaro, and today I have two tremendous guests to share with you. First up is going to be Carling Nolan. You'll remember Carling from the Big Break Sandals Resort. She won that competition back in 2010. She's also played on the LPGA Symetra Tour. Now she's the co-host and executive producer of 18 Holes with Jimmy Hanlin, TV show that you can find on Fox Sports. We're going to talk about all of that. Plus, she's a big advocate and deals with diabetes, so I'm excited to kind of talk to her about living and dealing with that, particularly for those listeners out there that are playing golf with diabetes, and how do you deal with that? How do you handle that when you're out there on the golf course? Carling's fantastic, so I look forward to talking with her. She'll join me here in just a moment. Following her is going to be one of our good friends on this show and a member of my Dream Fivesome, Eric Johnson. Eric has joined me several times, and it's always so much fun to talk with. You remember Eric, he's been named one of the top 100 instructors by Golf Magazine. He's also the director of instruction at Oakmont Country Club. We'll chat about, the upcoming U.S. Open at Chambers Bay and the prep that they're doing at Oakmont as they look forward to hosting the U.S. Open next year in 2016. Eric is going to be along to join me about 20 minutes from now. So it's going to be a great show. I'm so glad that you're here to take the journey with me over the next hour. Next on the Tee is brought to you by the folks over at Seymour Putters. Let's hear a word from our folks there.
Golfers, has this happened to you? Great drive. Perfect second shot on the green. Only to 3 or even 4 putt, shaking your head all the way back to the cart. I have good news. Help is on the way with the Seymour Putter. The Seymour Putter Company's patented RST technology sets up the putter perfectly every time, using a visible gun sight on the top line. Genius. It's like locking radar onto the target, in this case, the golf hole, putting the golfer in perfect position to make a reliable and consistent stroke. The 1999 U.S. Open and 2007 Masters champions both use, you guessed it, the Seymour Putter. So if you're ready to make more putts and take strokes off your game, log on to Seymour.com. That's SEEMORE.com and put a Seymour Putter in your bag today.
Like Joe said, check out the rifle scope technology that helped win 2 majors and 35 tour events so far. And it can help you make more putts too. I'm telling you, when I got mine, I dropped 4 balls about 10 feet away, sunk all 4. And I looked at those guys and said, fellas, I'm sold. Check them out online. You can find them at Seymour, and that is SEEMORE.com. Also want to kick off the show like we do every single week here on Next on the Tee by saluting the brave men and women serving in our military. We want to thank all of you for your daily sacrifices and for keeping the rest of us safe. We also want to thank our veterans for all you've done for us over the years. We truly appreciate what you do to preserve our freedoms and our liberties. It's through your strength and your efforts that our way of life is even possible. Our sincere thanks as well to Sean Cruz and all the folks over at the Armed Forces Radio Network. It's an honor for us to have our show be a part of your network. You can find us by going to armedforcesradionetwork.org. Also want to let our veterans know, be sure to check out globalvoiceforveterans.org. It's a great site with news and articles and a wealth of information designed specifically for our veterans. And I'm sure you guys are going to find it both interesting and beneficial to you. Again, go to globalvoiceforveterans.org. Great site. We also want to thank everyone listening in on other places on iHeartRadio, as well as great radio sites across the internet like Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, Player.fm, and Blog Talk Radio as well. Plus, if someone's dragging you to the mall or to the grocery store, you're just tired of the same old on your commute, download the Player.fm or Stitcher app on your smartphone, and you can take us with you everywhere you go. Let us give you something fun to focus on while you're out and about. All right, now back with us on the Seymour Putters guest line is Carling Nolan. Let me give you a little more background on Carling. She's from Middletown, Ohio. Started playing golf at the age of 11. She won the Ohio State High School Championship in 2002, was a 3-time All-Big Ten player at Ohio State, and was named Freshman of the Year in 2005. She was the individual runner-up at the 2006 Big Ten Conference Championship. She was the winner of the Golf Channel's Big Break Sandals Resort back in 2010, winning that event, by the way, on the 17th hole by sinking a 25-foot birdie putt. Unbelievable. Last year, she played on the Symetra Tour, formerly known as the LPGA's Developmental Tour. The Bleacher Report ranked her 9th in the 25 hottest golfers ever on the Big Break, and while also Women's Fitness ranked her number 2 in the top 10 sexiest women golfers in the world. And now, like I say, she's the co-host of the TV show 18 Holes with Jimmy Hanlin, executive producer of that show as well. You can find that on Fox Sports around the country, and I'm very honored to have her back with me next on the tee this morning. Carling, thanks for joining me again.
Thank you so much, Chris. I'm excited to be here.
So, Carling, I have to admit, I was a little surprised when I read that you were walking away from tournament golf. Was that a tough decision to make?
Yeah, that was a tough decision because obviously I've been playing competitively for, 15, 20 years almost now, and golf was really a big part of my life. But, it's been a crazy couple years. I traveled the country last year with my husband, and we didn't even own an apartment or rent an apartment because we traveled every single week playing. Actually, played a handful of PGA events last year and the Symetra Tour and doing the show, and I was writing golf articles for a travel magazine, and life was exciting but a little rough, so it's nice to calm down a little bit.
Good for you. Kelly, I'm curious, as a female golfer, does it bother you when magazines and publications focus on how you look physically and sort of rank you among the sexiest women golfers, or when you see the ranking, like when Women's Fitness ranks you number 2, you're like, number 2? And then who's number 1?
No, not exactly. I don't pay too much attention to polls like that. I mean, obviously it is very flattering, and people obviously, when I'm on the competitive circuit of golf, really don't get to hear me speak as much as they do just see me walk down the fairway, so you can't really expect too much yet. But hopefully now when I get a little producing and more national hosting under my belt, then they'll realize there's a little bit more to the woman.
There you go. So how's your husband with all that? And, is it get a little touchy sometimes when men may become a little overzealous in their fandom of you?
Yeah, he does pretty good with it. He knows that obviously that's sort of the industry, and if I get any comments on Twitter or Facebook, he'll kind of laugh, but then he'll kind of look at me and say, "Well, don't answer him back." And I'm like, "Okay, don't worry." So yeah, he's really supportive. He's a great guy.
There you go. Carling, I'm from Pittsburgh, and you guys did an episode not that long ago on your show 18 Holes with Jimmy Hanlin from Pittsburgh at Old Stonewall Golf Club, which is just outside the city. It's one of the top public golf courses in the country, number 1 actually in the state of Pennsylvania. For people who aren't familiar with that golf course, what struck you about playing it?
Well, you'd be happy to hear, Chris. I'm not sure if you know, but I actually live in Pittsburgh now. So
there you go.
I know. They injected me with that Steelers blood right when I showed up.
All right.
So, it's been great. But, yeah, doing Old Stonewall was a fantastic episode. You go up there and, being from Ohio, Ohio's pretty flat. And you don't realize once you cross that border, then things just get so hilly and so beautiful. And when you get out to Stonewall, Old Stonewall, there's going to be some really impressive views out there. And try not to get too distracted by the beautiful views, and make sure you focus on the fairway.
Mm-hmm. You guys have been all over the country. What are some of the other courses that you and Jimmy have played that you may have put on like a personal list to go back at some point and enjoy playing the course maybe when the cameras aren't rolling?
Well, it's been a very exciting season this year. The show is now in almost 80 million households, so we have some really good episodes coming out. And we just went out to Chambers Bay a little bit ago to shoot our U.S. Open preview show. Yeah, that show just previewed around the country this week, so hopefully people get to check it out. And God, what a beautiful layout it is out there at Chambers Bay. And, difficult. Man, me and Jimmy, let me tell you this, usually takes 2 days to shoot a show, but we spent 4 days out there just trying to find our golf balls in the fescue. So I cannot wait to see how the men on tour can really tackle that track. And you mentioned Oakmont in Pittsburgh, and we're actually this fall going to shoot an episode out there as well to preview next year's U.S. Open. So that'll be really exciting. So I'd love to make it back out to Seattle and get another try at that Chambers Bay course.
So, talking about that, Carling, as we look forward to next month's U.S. Open there, what are some of the things, one of the things that's always struck me, Carling, when, and I say this all the time, but Augusta National is my favorite place anywhere on the planet for that matter, not just from a golf course perspective. But when you walk that golf course, particularly for the first time, the TV doesn't do it justice for the elevation changes and what it's really like playing that golf course. When you guys were walking Chambers Bay, what is something that we may not get enough perspective of when we watch it on TV that you guys actually got to experience?
You're so right. It's hard to capture the feeling you get when you're out there and see it on television. But it's a real, true link style course, and you don't see that enough here in the States. But walking there, it's like Augusta or Carnoustie, and it's so beautiful. And not only can you really see almost the entire golf course when you're on there from the elevation changes, but you have the Puget Sound behind it, just a huge body of water. You can see the islands in the distance and the mountains, and, there's wildlife, jumping out of the water every few minutes. It's really a magical place. Yeah, it's so magical. And, what's really cool, too, is it's a municipal golf course, which is really kind of different. So it's kind of got a cool feel to it, a real Seattle feel to it, because it has these walking paths throughout the golf course. So you'll see a lot of people from the city out with their dogs, out for a jog. They got their Starbucks coffee in hand as they're going out there. So not only is it beautiful, but it doesn't really have that, stuffy feel to it. There's the whole town is out there enjoying it together, and that's what makes it fun.
That's fantastic. Carling, I had Dave Harner from the French Lick Golf Resort on the show with me last week. It's the site of this year's Senior PGA Championship. Definitely a place on my bucket list to play. But what are some of the places that are either on your bucket list to play, or places when you've seen the list of the all the sites you're going to go to film the show that you were actually very excited, looking forward to going to be at?
Well, a place that's on my bucket list is I'd really like to go play Bethpage Black, which I know a lot of people want to get out there, but I've never made it out there before, and just something that's such a true test of your golf skills. I think that would be fantastic to give it a run. Some other places that we are going on the show this year, Trump National, Los Angeles, out in California. That one's just supposed to have just the most beautiful views that you could ever imagine there, oceanside. We went and played earlier. Yeah, I know. It's going to be great. I'd really like to see if we can get the man on the show, and maybe he can fire Jimmy Hanlin. But we'll have to see. But we also, I was on the Big Break Invitational back in the fall in 2014 here, and that was at Reynolds Plantation, which is an awesome track. So love to make it back out there again this year. We're going to be there in a few weeks. And, we had a show at Innisbrook where the guys teed it up on the PGA. So, a lot of really, really good episodes this year. And hopefully next year I can convince everyone to make it out to Bethpage Black.
There you go. Carling, I'm sure the show is so much fun to do. What are some of the funnier outtakes from filming this show that you guys had to go through? That whether it was hard to do because the lines or the script were hard to do, or something got either you or Jimmy tickled that would be funny to see.
Well, it's funny because we do have quite a lot of outtakes because me and Jimmy are more golfers than we are, like actors. So whenever we get actually lines that we need to memorize, like facts, it takes a few takes for us to get it out sometimes. And it's funny because if you actually go to jimmyhanlin.com, I have a blog on there called Carling's Corner, and I have some blogs up there about a little bit more behind-the-scenes stuff, and I'm going to start posting some videos of our outtakes. And people ask us on the show if those are our real shots. Like, do we get mulligans on the show? And the interesting thing is me and Jimmy would love to get mulligans, but because we want to show off our best golf on the show too. But it takes about 20 hours and 2 days to shoot the show. So if they gave us mulligans, we'd be out there all day. Yeah, so those actually are our real shots. The only thing is we have to make sure that the cameraman who's in the landing area, he has to be able to actually shoot our shots. So he has to make sure that he gets it in the air and gets it landing on the green or landing in the fairway. So if Jimmy hits it 80 yards into the trees and nobody knows where it went, then that's when we go, okay, Jimmy, you got to tee that up again, buddy, okay? We can't use that on the show. So every once in a while, I'll pull out my iPhone and I'll start filming him, and you'll see him hit it. And they'll be like, bleep, 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 and he'll hit it, bleep, 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 and we're like, Jimmy. So we definitely do have our moments, but it's we have such a good time. We have the same crew every single week of about 10 people, and that's what makes it fun because we get to travel to all these really exotic places. And last year we went out to St. Kitts and Curacao. It was an awesome trip, and we like to play a lot of games on our sound guy because our sound guy. We're mic'd up and he can hear us all the time. So me and Jimmy like to have casual conversations while he's hundreds yards away, and we'll say, man, our sound guy, he really stinks this week. This guy's awful. And I'll say, yeah, his sound stinks. Yeah, and he really stinks too. I think he needs a shower or something. And then he'll laugh. And so we always have a good time out there.
Good for you. Colin, you're pretty famous for your birdie dance. Do you mind sharing what the genesis of that dance was?
Yeah, that's so funny because I just posted a blog post about the history of the birdie dance. But some things that people may know about me, but I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 4 years old. So I just celebrated my 25th anniversary of having diabetes. And I like to do the birdie dance not only to make, golf fun and exciting, but I think it really reminds people that it's important to celebrate all the good times in your life because everybody has struggles. For me, it's testing my blood sugar and giving myself shots, and, having diabetes can really be a struggle. But whenever good things happen in your life, then it's important to enjoy those moments instead of focusing on the negative. So that's when I started doing the birdie dance, and I started doing it whenever I was on the Big Break because I did want to show people that, hey, I have some issues sometimes. Sometimes it's bad golf, sometimes it's diabetes, but let's go out there, let's have a good time, and like I said, enjoy the positives in life because that's what it's all about.
There you go. So let's build on that piece about diabetes. Talk about the work that you're doing for diabetes and how those that are living with it can take care of themselves, not only off the course, but when you're playing. How do you take care of yourself and make sure everything is okay and regulated when you're out there playing? Well,
obviously diabetes is an interesting animal because sometimes you can do everything that you're supposed to do and your blood sugars still don't cooperate. And I know that, and I think that's when people get really frustrated with it, and it makes you want to give up even more. But for me, like I said, a little bit earlier, that you have to really enjoy the times that you do get it right, that you eat a good meal and you give yourself the right amount of insulin and you feel good in the morning, that's when you think, okay, I am doing really good. This is great. So you have to really keep reinforcing yourself that you're doing a good job because nobody's perfect. And every once in a while you are going to have that bowl of ice cream, but the quicker you move on, the quicker you can get back to, getting on track. And whenever I'm on the golf course, I just think it's so important to keep testing your blood sugar. The more you test, whenever I was competitive, I would test it every 3 to 4 holes, and that's when the only way you're going to really know that you're on track. So eating a lot of protein for breakfast, going out there, testing your blood sugar, having a few snacks when you want, that's what's going to keep you on track, because once it goes way too high or low, that's when it's hard to get back on track. But if you're just a little high or a little low and you're kind of sneaking around the good area, that's when you can play your best golf.
What are some of the snacks that you used to carry with you to make sure that if you needed to regulate in some way, shape, or form, that you had something on hand to do so?
Mm-hmm. Some really good snacks are, first of all, juice boxes, which are really funny because you don't usually see people drink juice boxes unless you're 5 years old. But I keep a lot of those in my golf bag. And my husband will laugh at me because sometimes we're out at a bar with our friends and I'm drinking a juice box, and it looks ridiculous. But that's really a great snack to get your blood sugar up quickly. But another thing is obviously peanut butter crackers are great, and a lot of people have them at golf courses too because they have a perfect combination of carbohydrates and protein. So those are really, really good snacks. For me on tour last year, I'd say maybe a couple years ago, some years on tour, I was really making a lot of good money to keep myself going. Other years where I wasn't playing as well, me and my husband were on a pretty tight budget. So we like to say that I was sponsored by the Holiday Inn Continental Breakfast. So we make sure that we would go somewhere that had free breakfast, and we would take as many bagels as you possibly can, and then just have our nice little bagel in the morning and nice little bagel at lunch. And then, hey, if your blood sugar's a little low, hey, here's a half a bagel in the morning. So we have a pretty good system going on for some free food.
I'm surprised none of the, whether the juice box companies or one of the peanut butter cracker companies hasn't contacted you, unless they have, about being a spokesperson for them. Boy, that seems like a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that. You're right.
So, Carly, let me take you back to the big break when you won that final match on the 17th hole. When that putt disappeared into the bottom of the cup, was it sheer joy for having knowing that you won the event, or was it relief that it was over?
Oh, I'm going to have to say it was sheer joy, but it was so many emotions all at once that I didn't even know what was going on in my head because, like you mentioned before, I had like a 25-foot birdie putt, and I had hit it to 25 feet from like 85 yards. It was an awful shot at, and I thought, well, it's over. I've lost, right? And even when I had this putt, I remember looking at it, and it was really uphill. And I thought, well, I'm just going to aim for the back of the cup and just hit it like really hard. So right when I hit it, I thought, oh, my goodness, I hit it way too hard. So I was having like a mini heart attack meltdown as it was on the ground rolling. And I'm thinking, no. And then all of a sudden I like blinked and it popped up and it went in. So it went from sheer terror to joy all at once. And I just jumped up in the air and it was just like, I think my whole life's going to change now all of a sudden. So it was really incredible, and I don't know if I'm ever going to have that feeling with anything I'll ever do because it was one of the best moments of my life.
And to that end, clearly your life has changed since that moment. What's it? I guess what's the best part of what happened? And in the moments and all the time since that putt disappeared. Yeah,
and life has been really quite different since that. It was wonderful to get to play on the LPGA and the European Tour after that and get some experience. Like I got to go play in the Dubai Masters that year and actually finished in the top 25 in that tournament. So it was really good for my confidence to know that I can play at that kind of level. But another side of it was really getting involved in the TV side of things again, because I actually did a lot of broadcasting when I was in college for the Ohio State football team. I had my own blog, a video blog on golfchannel.com before I was on the Big Break. So I was really trying to tap into that market because obviously I'm such a ham, and I like it in front of the camera. So it's so good to be back in there. And then Jimmy Hanlin asked me to be a guest on his show, and then that evolved into me becoming a host and an executive producer. So not only was the Big Break great for my golf career, but it really, really made my TV career happen. So I can't be thankful enough.
And to that end, now, as you mentioned, you're also executive producer of the show. So talk about, what transpired from being a co-host to now being, executive producer of a TV show.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this about me, but like I said earlier, I did a lot of broadcasting in college. I made my own video blog on Golf Channel, so I've actually had a lot of experience already writing my own shows, coming up with a lot of ideas. I actually know how to edit the footage and film the footage. And when I was in college, wow. I was a one-man band over there with the Ohio State football. I was Coach Trestle's media intern, so I did a lot of filming and editing and writing for him too. So now, since I was being a host on the show and they had someone leave and they need someone to fill the spot, so I was able to step up and produce some nice stuff for them, and it's really turned into such a beautiful thing. I really, really love working behind the camera, so now I get to pick the beautiful destinations that we go to call and set up the golf courses and write the scripts, and I get to tell the cameramen what to do, and sometimes they listen to me and sometimes they don't.
So is this the path, darling? Is this the way you want your career to go, or do you think there might come a time down the road where you may decide to give the tour another shot?
I'm trying to keep it open right now. I've really struggled with a lot of injuries in the last couple of years, and that was another big decision for me to hang up golf for right now, to focus on TV. So having those injuries, obviously we know that golf is difficult enough even when you're healthy. But maybe, if I miss it way too bad in the next couple of years, then maybe I'll go out and give it another shot. They actually have a U.S. Open qualifier here in Pittsburgh coming up in a couple of weeks. And I told my husband, I said, hey, maybe I'll just go do it. It's in town, just for fun. And he said, yeah, you know what? You can just get up, at like 5 a.m. every day before work and just go practice for like 4 or 5 hours and really get good, and maybe you'll make it. And I thought, no, never mind. I just wanted to show up, just like not practicing and just see what I should do. He's like, okay, no, never mind. That's a bad idea. So sometimes I miss it, but then sometimes he reminds me that the 5 a.m. driving range sessions I'm still not quite ready to go back to that.
Yeah, it's sort of like the football player who's retired and, they missed the game and they say, boy, I sure miss playing on Sundays. I don't miss Tuesday through Saturday, right, with the practice and the two-a-days and all that sort of stuff. I just want to show up on Sundays and play the game. So I can see we're very similar.
If I could just show up on every Sunday playing in the last group on Sunday, then, yeah, that sounds great. But it's obviously a little more complicated than that.
Right. Carling, let our listeners know, how can they follow you both online, so you give the site for the show and any place else that they may be able to find you online, plus over on social media?
Well, you can check out the show, 18 Holes with Jimmy Hanlin on Fox Sports, and I'm also producing a couple other shows on there. One of them is Swing Clinic with Jimmy Hanlin, so you can check out both of those on the Fox Sports Regional Networks. You can also follow me on Twitter at Carling Nolan, and hopefully I keep you laughing and you guys enjoy what I'm tweeting out. And go to jimmyhanlin.com, check out Carling's Corner. That's going to have a lot of behind-the-scenes videos and blog posts.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to come back on the show. You're always such a delight. I wish you the best of luck with with all the shows that you're doing and everything else that comes your way in the future. You're fantastic.
Thank you so much.
All right, Carling, we'll catch up with you soon. All the best to you and your husband.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, Carling. Carling Nolan. Again, check her out online. She's got some funny stuff on Twitter, @Carling Nolan. And let me just spell it just in case you need it. Carling is Carling. So Carling Nolan, Nolan. Fantastic stuff. And I look forward to catching up with her again, hopefully real soon. All right, now back with me on the Seymour Putters guest line is one of my favorite guests of all time, Eric Johnson. Let me remind you about Eric's background. He was a 4-year letterman from 1992 to 95 at Mississippi State, where he earned his degree in professional golf management. He remains in the Bulldogs' top 20 for the most rounds played. Eric has been the director of instruction at Oakmont Country Club since 2004. Golf Magazine named him one of the top 100 teachers every year since 2011. He's also recognized by Golf Digest as a top 40 under 40 teacher. He is a 3-time Tri-State PGA Teacher of the Year. He is also a 2-time Horton Smith Award winner for his contributions to education. He's on the advisory staff for TaylorMade Adidas Golf. He played on the Canadian Tour, the Sunshine Tour, and the Golden Bear Tour. And every time he has joined me, I felt like this is a guy I could talk to all day long.
All right, enough of that stuff. Come on.
How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Chris. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. So, Eric, last time we talked, Oakmont was under about 10 inches of snow, so I'm guessing things are looking a lot differently now?
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's 90 degrees here today. It seems like we totally missed spring completely. We went from, dead of winter to really hot, but it's awesome. The golf course is coming along. We had a little bit of winter kill on the greens. Some of the greens got a little beat up this year. It was such a cold winter in Polana. Our greens are Polana, which is actually weed, but it's a really good weed for putting, surfaces, and so we got a little bit dinged up this winter, but the superintendent John Zimmer's done a great job in getting us back in and playing, and it's going to be really good. Can't wait. It's just 13 months till we'll be hosting next year, the Open.
Right.
So we can't wait.
Right.
Yeah.
So to that end, as you guys look forward to the Open in 2016, at what point, and I think we've talked about this in the past, but Lee Trevino said of Oakmont, it's the one golf course in the country where you could step out probably right now and play the U.S. Open. But are there any preparations that are different that the USGA makes you guys go through that you're not already doing for yourselves, as a normal course of business?
Chris, the only thing really is that the rough. We will grow the rough in, and they've done some graduated rough in different sections, and I think Lee Trevino is correct. I mean, I think that we could host it just about any time of the year, and all you'd have to do is just let the rough grow for 1 week, and I think you're there. I mean, this golf course is brutally hard, probably too hard for most players, and I think that he's right. I think we could host it just about any time. For our preparations now, we're pretty much done. We've changed the 6th green complex a little bit. We added a little piece of green in the back there, and because we just didn't have enough pin placements on that hole. And we've taken out some more trees. Unfortunately, the trees are pretty nervous around this place when they hear chainsaws. But we've taken a bunch. But you can totally see across from number 1 all the way out to 4 and 5. It's just a spectacular, magnificent view. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like from the Open. From the past footages, where you could see, you couldn't see anything because all the trees. Now to see a total links-looking style golf course where you can see from number 1, and you can see just about every hole now. It's phenomenal. Just a cool view.
So to that end, and those of us that love the game of golf and are familiar with the history, we get what makes Oakmont such a tough golf course. But for everyone else that may be curious, when you say, "Boy, there aren't any trees," and we would have to grow up the rough, which suggests that normally the rough is a bit lower. What makes Oakmont so difficult to play day in and day out?
Well, to me, it's the bunker complexes are just phenomenally hard. And if you don't drive the ball, you're going to have a tough day here at Oakmont. And the bunkers are positioned so beautifully off the tee. If you just miss hit a little bit, you're going to roll into one of these bunkers. I mean, Oakmont has some, fairly undulated fairways. So if you catch a fairway, it'll kind of keep running down, and it just kind of runs into a bunker. And they've actually cut down. That was one of the other preparations we did for the Open. We cut the rough down so they would feed a little bit more into some bunkers. And off the tee, it's just a really hard golf course. On the greens, that's when the real trouble starts. I mean, if you're on the wrong side of these pins, I mean, it's a really tough day. I always loved it. Lou Worsham's favorite, one of these famous quotes from Lou Worsham, who was a head professional here before Bob. It was, I always thinking about my second putt before I hit my first. And there's how many places where you have to do that. And he was right. You're always thinking, okay, well, when I miss this, I want it down here somewhere. And it's pretty hard. Pretty cool statement. Pretty cool quote.
This year's U.S. Open, right, is played at Chambers Bay, which is a link-style golf course. You talk about Oakmont being a link-style golf course. Are we starting to set up the U.S. Opens to give more of an advantage to the European players and take away some of the advantage for the U.S. players?
I sure hope not. They keep kicking our butts here in the Ryder Cup, but right. I don't think we need to give them any more kudos here. But I don't think so. I just think those are two unique courses, and really, Oakmont was a parkland course. I mean, it started out as basically a link style course, and then a member of ours who actually owned a tree farm nursery thought it would be a great idea to put a bunch of trees out there. And we still had people, when we started cutting down the trees in '97, they were talking about, I donated to the tree fund in '55. I gave them $50, and well, sorry, we're cutting them all down now. But it was, it's really it's transformed back to what it originally was, and that's basically just a phenomenally hard link style golf course.
When you look at Chambers Bay, have you ever had an opportunity to go out there and play, Eric?
I have not. No, I haven't. It looks great though. It looks great on TV.
Yeah, and like one of the things, I just had Carling Nolan here on the show, and she's out doing TV shows now with Jimmy Hanlin to different places in and around the country. And one of the questions that she and I talked about, and one of the things that I think people don't get enough perspective of what these golf courses are actually like. TV only does it so much justice. So focusing, I guess, back on Oakmont, but what are some of the things that we are going to see next year, watching on TV, when you may talk to some folks and say, what? Yeah, it looks like that, but what you don't get a sense for on Oakmont is this, and what is this?
Well, I think the undulations in the green are the first thing. People say, wow, it looks really fast, it's downhill. You hear it sounds so vanilla on TV, and they are truly, when you get a firm, fast putt on Oakmont, it is a scary deal. And you're going to see that. If we can, if the weather is the way we want to see it, and our preparations will be great for the Open, if we can get them firm and fast, you're going to see the ball bounce. You're going to see it, going to kind of do some funny things, and putting will be an absolute chore here at Oakmont.
What?
That's the first time I played Augusta. It was basically the same feeling. When you walk, up the ninth to the ninth green, you can't believe how big the hill is. And then you walk up the 18th fairway, you just can't believe the hills. You can't believe how tall the trees are. It's just a totally different perspective once you're on the golf course and then from when you're watching it on TV.
Exactly right. And when you guys get those greens firm and fast, you give us an idea of what firm means. What are those things going to be rolling potentially on the stem?
Well, they're probably around 11 or 12 would be my guess. And it's a true story. People always ask me that. Is that a true story that you had to slow the greens down for the Open? Yes, we did. We actually had to slow them down twice. And that's a true story. I was here in '94. I did an internship, and then I've seen it in 2007, 2010. This would be my fourth Open here at Oakmont, and we've had to slow them down. That's not a lie. We had them, ridiculously fast. We have a spot on number 2 where we always know it's really good and firm and fast. If you drop the golf ball, just drop it out of your hand, and it rolls off the front of the green, we know that's the way we want it. And it's true. You get above the hole on 2 and the pin's down in the front. It's like, oh boy, I hope this one goes in. If not, I'm going to be chipping it back, and I'm going to look really silly. But it's going to happen. It's awesome when these are firm and fast. I just don't think I've ever seen anything in the world that are quite like them. I mean, they're just so hard. And I hope that, we had a little rain in 2007, and we had a little rain in 2010, so it might have been a hair softer than what we wanted. But I think it will be up to the test for the boys here in 2016.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
One of the local guys up that way, Eric, Jim Furyk's from the Pittsburgh area. He's playing really well right now, near the top of the leaderboard again this week at the Players. So he turns 45 in a couple of days. Talk about the status of Jim's game and what it could mean to him and the local folks in that area if he were to contend next year at Oakmont.
Yeah, really should have won in 2007. He was playing great. I watched him hit balls on the range, and I said, there's no way this guy isn't winning this week. And he was on all cylinders, went for it on 17, just hit it left of the green in 2007 there, and kind of flubbed the chip, kind of chunked it a little bit out of the rough. It was an impossible pin placement, and he kind of trying to pitch it out to the right a little bit and ended up making bogey and lost by a shot. So, I think we would have loved to have seen him win, but, and just on that same flip side of that, Angel Cabrera has been a phenomenal champion. I mean, he's won the Masters since then, and has come back to get our green jacket, and was just so polite and generous to all of our membership and guests, and signed everything, and they had a presentation and gave him his jacket. It was really cool. He's been a terrific human being. So, but I'd like, Jim Furyk would be awesome. I mean, he's had a heck of a career. And you think, when you think of some of the best golf swings in the world, I think he's got one of the best golf swings in the world. And you say, whoa. I mean, there's more planes than that than Delta has in their fleet, and it's true. This thing's moving all over, but it's repeatable, and that's what makes him such a great champion. He can repeat the action. It doesn't have to look aesthetics in golf are overrated, and I think that we kind of got in that model where I got to look exactly like Tiger. The golf club has to come exactly up this plane line, and then it has to come down on this plane line, and that's not really the case. I mean, you need to be really good from about 2 feet in front of it to maybe a foot or so after it. And you can do a lot of different things. I mean, think about Matt Kuchar, Jim Furyk, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson. Those golf swings don't look anything alike. And they're all great, great champions. And they just know how to repeat it. Especially Jim. I've never seen it. What is he at, $66 or $67 million in career earnings or something crazy like that? I mean, and you look at the golf swing and you go, wow, it's unbelievable. But again, he is consistent and he repeats it. And, he works hard. You watch this guy down on the range. He takes it every day seriously. Pretty cool to watch.
No doubt. Eric, you talk about premium of driving the golf ball in different swings. Tiger performed well, probably above everybody's expectation at the Masters based on where his game was heading into that. But he made the cut on the number at the Players this week, and he's one of the few pros to ever hit the ball in the water on the par 3 8th at the Players Championship down there at Sawgrass. The water is literally 60 yards from the green, yet he put it in it. What do you make about what you've seen, sort of the ups and downs of where Tiger's at and what might be going on in his head?
I was shocked too. When he made the cut in the Masters, I was shocked. I mean, just from the state of his game and what we had seen, I thought, why are you even coming here? Because this is the hardest, you want to test a, yippee short game? Well, just go play the Masters. You'll see, how hard that is. And I was shocked he played well. I really was. I think, Chris Como is a great guy. He's a great instructor. I see shades of some good stuff in there, and I think he's gonna, I think you can't ever count him out. I mean, he just does stuff, and he's done stuff throughout his entire career that you just look at and you go, my God, how does he do that? And I think that you're going to see that again. I don't think that, this is my personal opinion, I don't think he's ever going to win a major again. And, I wouldn't bet my house on that, but I just really don't think that he's, I just don't think that he's there quite mentally, physically, or with his golf swing. And, that might change, but it's really funny. He's gone through some amazing stuff. I think, I don't know what it is, 9, 11 surgeries, something crazy like that. Ton of injuries. He's gone through some personal issues. He's gone through so much in his career that when you look at Tiger, I just don't know that he is the, scary figure that he used to be. Now, that doesn't mean he's not a phenomenal player. I watched ESPN.com, and, this morning I looked at, they had a 2.5-minute video clip on Tiger making the cut. Now, is that what it's down to now? We're going to have a 2-minute clip on Tiger making the cut? And all pumped up because he made birdie on an easy hole. I'm in the 9th hole. Come on. I don't know. It just, really. I want to know who's winning the tournament. Great, he made the cut, right. But who's winning the tournament? And so I don't know what we're going to see from Tiger. It's always kind of like Phil a little bit. You never know what you're going to get with him. And when you look at Rory, I think that Rory could be as dominant as Tiger was. I don't know that we'll see that because I'm just not sure he's as hungry as Tiger was. I think the hunger level that Tiger had was incredible. From when you think of the stretch that he went on from 97, 98 to 2008 or so, he was in contention all the time. It wasn't like he just made the cut. He was in contention all the time, and he was always a factor. And, you see Rory, he makes the cut, and he just kind of falls asleep there for a couple weeks and a couple months, and then all of a sudden he wins a few, and then, it kind of like takes a little break. And, I just don't think he's quite as hungry as Tiger was. Maybe time will change that. I don't know. It's always a speculation of, when person has so much money, what is their, focus? Like, what gets them out of bed? And that's a hard thing to do. I can guarantee you I don't think Tiger's practicing the same way he used to. And I'm sure he's not as hungry as he was. And so life changes. He's got his kids now and the breakup with Lindsay. And, there's just a lot of stuff going on. I just circling back there to Tiger, I'm not sure that we'll see, the effort that he used to give. But you never know. Time will tell, I guess.
Right. So let's go on the flip side, Eric. Jordan Spieth's performance at the Masters, and what are your expectations? You talk about Rory. Could this be, the rivalry that we've, so longed for, right? We tried to force it between Tiger and Phil, and we never really saw the two of them come down the stretch, in a final group in a major. Could this be the reincarnation of an Arnie and Jack now between Rory and Jordan?
Well, I think it could, and first of all, Jordan's performance at the Masters was, it was unbelievable. I think, you hear Phil, if anyone told me I would have shot 14 under, I'd take it right now, and he probably would have won every other year. It was an awesome performance. And not only was it an awesome performance, I think that you saw a true gentleman, and his interview process he's kind of that. If you had a daughter, you'd probably want this kid to date her. He just seems like a perfect gentleman. His interviews are magnificent. What he does with his sister, special needs, child, it tears you up. It's an awesome deal. And he actually, when you hear his interviews, he's just so eloquent, and he's just a true classic gentleman. And I think the game kind of needs a little bit of that. Think of the PGA Tour. You think of some of the stars out there, or so-called stars, and there's a couple of them are kind of hard to root for. And that's no front page news. I don't think Patrick Reed's going to go on a popularity contest and do very well. I really don't. And Bubba's a little out there sometimes, and and I think the game needs that. And Patrick Reed, I respect his game like nobody else. He can play. But I think the game needs a Jordan Spieth, a really classy young man. And we'll see. It's always great to have a rivalry. It's always great to have an Arnie, a Jack, and Jack and a Watson or a Trevino and Player, and we need that in the sport. And I hope we don't overplay that a little bit. I think everybody wants to make this big, drama between Jordan and Rory. And at the end of the day, I'm sure that they'd have a beer together and hang out. But we'd love to see it on the golf course. And we don't have a thing in the sport right now where we know that two guys really hate each other and they're the best in the world. We don't have that. And
right.
And that would be fun to see. that would be great TV. Maybe we should have Miguel Angel Jimenez and Keegan play or something. Pair them together for the next couple weeks. I don't know. That'd be fun to watch. I don't know.
All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the tips that people can find on your website, ericjohnsongolf.com, as well as you can find it on golf.com site as well. I found an article in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, dated a few years ago, I think 2009, and you said a place you like to start with new students is understanding their weaknesses, and the way to do that is to start keeping stats on yourself. How many fairways in regulation are you hitting? How many greens in regulation? Number of putts, and that's how you can see where your greatest weakness is. And sometimes it may not actually be where you thought it was, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, excuse me. It's exactly right. Especially with I'm very lucky here at Oakmont. I teach a bunch of the younger, great kids, and I'm teaching the current state champion right now, and Jason Lee won by 5 as a sophomore, 4 or 5 as a sophomore. He played great, and a lot of times when you ask the player, hey, what's going wrong? They say, well, my driver. Well, okay, let's take a look at your stat sheet. You hit, 10 of 14 fairways, and you hit 4 greens. So that means to me that you're driving it good, but your irons are, very poor. And I think a lot of times that, especially with the kids, their memory is pretty select. They just think they just don't have a good idea or a good understanding of the analysis of what they're actually doing. And so I have them keep stat sheets, and how many fairways hit, how many greens hit, and, if you missed a green, if it was a pitch or a chip or a bunker shot, and then how many putts do you have. And, it was funny, I worked with Per Ulrich Johansson, a two-time Ryder Cupper, is a great, great player. And I got his stats from the tour, and he came over and I said, well, Per, you're 50th in ball striking and you're, 165th in chipping, and he said, well, that's because the ball goes left, So, well, it only goes left 4 times around, so what are you talking about? I mean, why don't we, you can't, Per is great, one of those classic eccentric Swedes, I love the guy. He's a great man. But, I said, well, I don't think we're ever going to get you to 18 greens in regulation, so why don't we just work on the chipping? No, it's just the ball's got to go, it just goes left. So you're fighting a uphill battle on some of them, but you got to know what you're good at. And, when you look at Tiger, and when Tiger was working with Butch, I always loved it. And he said, what are you going to work on this year? And classic Butch answer, anything he's not number 1 at. That's it. And he was leading all those categories. So, he didn't have many weaknesses. You think of how many of those categories that Tiger was leading. And then he said, well, I'm 43rd in bunkers. We're going to work on some bunkers. That's it. It doesn't have to, you look at that and how Tiger will go down in history will be an interesting, discussion. I think he could have won 35 majors by now if he hadn't have done all the changes and the tweaks. And I understand you want to get better, but why don't you work on your weaknesses, not redo everything 4 times? Right. You look at Jack Nicklaus. He never did that. Right. What, are you out of your mind? How can you win a major in 2000? He wins the British and the U.S. Open that year at Pebble. He wins by 15 there and 12 at St. Andrews. Okay, that's 27 strokes, and you're going to change everything? Come on. Please, Give me a break. You know, you
Right.
just work on your putting or your chipping, but don't take away the fundamental thing that got you there. I mean, that's why you're the champion. Don't change that stuff. So you got to know your stats. Putting, you want to improve your putt. If you want to improve your handicap, just make 3 and 4 footers. If you can make anything from 5 feet and in, your handicap will go down 4 or 5 strokes. Period.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. You also talk about establishing a pre-shot routine, and I'm guessing you're not talking about having one like Keegan Bradley. What belongs in our pre-shot routine?
Well, his Keegan's pre-shot routine drives me crazy, but just too amped up, too nervy for me. But
right.
A pre-shot routine is a funny thing. Some people feel like they get a little bound up by a lot of stuff, and some people need some structure. It's different for every player, but I just don't. I'm not in that school of thought either. That you just find your happy place, and you hear these sort of sports psychologists just find your happy place, and then just everything just see it. No, that's not what's happening when your chest is, your heart feels like it's coming out of your chest. I mean, we've all had it when we're, I was playing at the TaylorMade Invitational. I was 7 under, coming in the last hole, and my chest, my heart felt like it was going to pop out of my chest. You just can't find a little happy place and go there. That's not how it goes. So you have to have some sort of structure, whether it's your grip, whether it's you're focusing on what you're trying to do, or seeing the shape of the shot. To me, that's you got to let your athletic ability go in there. And I certainly don't think in a pre-shot routine you can have more than one thought. During a swing, I might have, let's feel like the face is a little more open to the path, or let's feel like I'm a little more in to out, or a little out to in, depending on the shot. But certainly, you've got to have that. You've got to have it kind of, that picture in your mind of what you're trying to do. And then you just got to step up and execute it at that point. It comes down to intestinal fortitude, where you just got to hit the shots every now and again. You just got to man up and hit them.
One of the other things you talk about is club face control, which we'd all love to be able to do. How do we get better club face control?
The one of the greatest things that I've ever seen in instruction is, when I was with a great teacher, and he grabbed my grip and he said, "All right, now straighten your arms. This is what joint alignment is, and see how your arms come to this line, and that's what's happening down at the bottom. Your arms are straightening. All the centrifugal force is straightening out the shaft and the weight of the club head." And he goes, "Now, what's that face look like now when your arms are totally out and they're in a straight line?" So, well, the face is shut. And he goes, "Exactly. That's why you keep pulling it. It doesn't have anything to do with the path of your golf swing. It's because when your arms are lining up at joint alignment, your face is really shut." So I have players do that. I have them grip it. I have them take it up in front of them and make it go right to a straight line. And then check out the face and see what it looks like. Because most players, when they do that joint alignment test, the face is all over the place. So now what happens is your body's saying, "Hey, my club face is really shut or open, and now I have to do something to make the ball not go in a certain direction." So now you're fighting your golf swing. So that's why that is so, tremendously important on, how we get the face set. And the
Eric,
grip.
just a couple more before we let you go. Gary Player, you talk about making 5-footers, and Gary Player always preaches about how important the short game is, since the majority of the game is played from 100 yards in. You advocate spending more time on putting. If we weekend hackers have 30 minutes or an hour to practice, whether it's during the week or before we actually go play around, how much time should we be spending on putting and chipping leading up to the first tee?
100%. Think about it. There was a great study. TaylorMade had that, study out. Their average player hits 4 greens in regulation. Okay, 4 in 18 holes. That is really telling. So I don't think that all of a sudden you're going to go from, if you're an average player and you're hitting 4 greens in regulation, I don't think you're going to make that to 14. It's just probably not going to happen. But what you can do, and this is what I think people fail to remember. You don't have to be Tiger Woods to make short putts. You don't have to be Tiger Woods to hit great chip shots. You don't have to be Tiger to hit pitch shots. It doesn't require tremendous speed or this body that we see with Tiger. it's about, controlling the face and, and not letting the ball get away from you. So, spend all your time over there. Short putts, little pitches, little chips. I mean, that's where you think about it. If you miss 14 greens in regulation and you got them all up and down and you made a couple, now what happened to your score? Wow.
Right.
I mean, it just drastically drops. The fastest way, like I said, the fastest way is everything. If you made everything from 3 feet in, everything, you'd probably make 2 or 3 strokes up your handicap right there. If you can get it 5 or 6 feet in, now you're really playing great. And then if you can chip it up there 5, 6 feet, now you've got a tremendous opportunity to lower your handicap.
There you go. Eric, remind our listeners how they can find you online and over social media.
Well, I have a Twitter account, Eric Johnson, and EricJohnsonGolf.com is my website, and anybody can go in there and check it out. It's pretty good, and you can Facebook me, Eric Johnson, as well. And listen, I just want to thank you, and I always love the intros. They're unbelievable. Brings back some cool memories, and I really want to thank the troops out there. You guys, you're grinding out there so we can have a better life, and I know some of that's no fun out there, but anybody that threatens the U.S. needs to, be met with great force. So just keep at it and stay safe out there.
Eric, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You're one of the guys in my dream foursome because you're such a great guy, and you're so much fun to talk to. You got so much great information. Thank you for taking time out of your morning to join me again. It's always an honor to have you.
Chris, my pleasure. Listen, we got to make that dream foursome happen up here with your dad here at Oakmont, too.
All right, well, from your lips to God's ears, we're ready to happen whenever you're ready, my friend.
We got plenty of times open in January, too. I'm kidding.
Great.
Listen, thanks for everything, Chris. Talk to you later.
All right,
bye-bye.
Take care, Eric.
Bye.
Okay. Eric Johnson, again, EricJohnsonGolf.com. It's a great golf site, folks. So many great tips. Got videos on there to show you how to do the different things that he talked about here on the show. If you haven't been out there to check it out yet, you really need to go give it a look. Like I say, it's fantastic. All right, folks, before we close up shop, I want to remind you about the great golf book that our friends Dave Stockton and Dave Stockton Jr. have out. It's called Own Your Game. Like I said, if you're just really starting to kick the rust off your golf swing, like so many people, particularly our friends up in the Northeast, remember, the majority of the game is played between that 5-inch space between our ears. Get your mind right. In this book, the Stocktons let you know how to use your mind to play winning golf. Own Your Game recreates the experience of riding 18 holes with Dave Stockton at one of his highly sought-after corporate outings and draws from his experience as a champion on both the senior tour and the regular tour. Remember, 2-time major winner now, and he's also a revered coach. He shows you how to think better, stay calmer, execute more consistently, and most importantly, how to enjoy the game more thoroughly. Go to StocktonGolf.com to get your copy. For a couple extra bucks, Mr. Stockton will even autograph it for you. All right, everybody, time for me to put a bow on this one. My sincere thanks one more time to Carly Nolan and Eric Johnson for joining me this morning. Made the show so much fun to be a part of. We thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you the very most. Please check out our sister show as well, Thursday Night Tailgate with me and my co-host Bob Lazzari, our announcer Joe LaGenusa. That show airs live every Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can stream it live on Blog Talk Radio, but you can also hear us starting at 10:15 Eastern Time on the Armed Forces Radio Network. On Friday nights, we're rebroadcast from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Boost Radio, and then again on the Armed Forces Radio Network starting at 11. We're joined every week by great players from around the NFL and the CFL. Please also check out both shows on Facebook. Give us a like. That's important to us, too. Next on the Tee here, Thursday Night Tailgate as well. Find us online. This show, nextonthetee.net and ThursdayNightTailgate.com. You can stream or download any of our archive episodes for free, plus keep up to date with some of our future guests are going to be. We thank you so much one more time for choosing to listen to this show today. Until next week, hit 'em straight, my friend.